I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. A lot of things is going on in this world today, and people ain't paying attention to it, man. I keep telling these young folks, man, that y'all out here playing a dangerous game when it comes to trying to take something from somebody that don't belong to y'all, and somebody going to put you in a bag, man. I sit back this morning. I've been analyzing all the news and watching all these mayors and governors, mostly Democrats, talking about we don't need the National Guard Army to come in and help us when they got crime out this world where people losing their life every second of every day. And the topics that people don't never talk about or hear about, and I'm gonna say this before I start my broadcast, man. If people don't see, good morning, brother. When people see black people on on radios and TVs, on the internet, they expect you to act a certain way. They expect you to be hooping and hollering, threatening folks, talking crazy, being like a clown. So when you get an individual that talks to the community and tells the community the things that's going on around them that they not paying attention to because too many people get lost in social media. And when I say lost, they get caught on gang members and different things that don't even make no sense, or things that don't even have any effect on your life personally, man. But the thing that I'm going to talk about today is the National Guard Army and the way that they moving, and some of them already been in the cities and people didn't even know it. And then we're going to talk about all the things that's going on in the world with the DEA and the drug trafficking and the fentanyl. Because I'm the first and the strongest thing that's going on the news that they are focused on. So let's start with it. I ask people all the time, do you think that they should send a National Guard Army into Memphis? When you ask that question to people that live in Memphis, that go to work every day in Memphis and ain't doing anything illegal in Memphis, should they have the should they have the National Guard Army come in and slow the crime rate and slow the young individuals that's taking people's life in the streets? Them folks say yeah. Them folks scream yeah. A lot of people in the world that don't have to wake up and worry about driving down the street and being shot at because that's insane, man. But some folks live in communities, and I'm gonna tell you this, a lot of people didn't even know this. I'm from Nashville, but downtown Nashville used to be full of number of peep shows and juke joints. Downtown Nashville was a never, ever meant to be what it is nowadays. Most communities, if people don't understand this, most communities is in different cities. Every downtown is right around the corner from the projects. Because back in the day when black folks lived in the suburbs, which you call the country, them folks knew that the crime rate was going outrageous, so they pushed all the black folks to the city with the promise of living a better life. But what they did was they sold them cheaper homes at a low rate because the crime rate was up down there in downtown Nashville. I was watching a story this morning when they were saying historical Nashville, and they showed downtown Nashville was full of number of peep shows and perverts and pickpocketers. But over the years, them folks done started cleaning up the communities and taking people homes and saying that this is the best part. They just reversing what they did a long time ago, man. Thank you. They reversing it. They reversing it. And see, the thing about people don't understand is when you watching the local news is never going to tell you about the real nitty gritty and the crime and the poverty and the things that's really going on if it affects the marketing or the money of the people that's in them communities, because people don't understand this. Local news stations are sponsored by restaurants, bars, entertainment industries, and stuff like they sponsored by them. So they're not going to point out the highlights of someone got murdered or someone got raped in downtown Nashville because it's going to put a black eye on downtown Nashville. And a lot of people just sit back and they wonder why when they come to these cities, because these folks, the entertainment industry, say that Nashville is the bridal capital of the United States. But what they don't tell people is that if you come to Nashville and you got people in Nashville that's already seeing the crime rate and seeing the rapes and seeing the killings, then they know one thing. They know not to go down in downtown Nashville. They know not to go in Edge Hill. They know not to go in certain places because they from the city. And when you're from that city, you understand one thing for sure, that you know how to maneuver in that city. I'm one of them individuals that I talk about the crime that go on around the United States in every city, because I don't want anyone to ever be put in a situation where they lose their life. Or they go somewhere thinking it's paradise and come to find out it's a hidden monster in them streets, man. Because there's a lot of cities in America that these folks really need to come in with the National Guard Army and start all over. You know, Memphis is one of them, but Chicago is another one, because them folks took the internet and start glorifying living in projects, living in poverty. Talking about they run these neighborhoods, but they don't own now one brick in their building in them projects. You know, I think it's crazy when you catch individuals online screaming out gang, gang, forgetting that one thing. Being a part of an organized gang is a felony. That is a federal offense, and they already labeled all gang members as domestic terrorists. And what people don't understand is they're going to start sending Americans to Guantanamo Bay. They're going to start sending domestic terrorists to Guantanamo Bay. Because when they label gang members as domestic terrorists, they label them as one thing, and they say that there are the people that's taking the lives of American citizens. And what people don't understand is the Constitution says that the Army is to defend the citizens of America, against foreign and domestic terrorists. So people that were sitting back and they was talking about the National Guard can't go in the streets of America and police the citizens, you need to read the Constitution, because the Constitution specifically says domestic terrorists. So when the federal government and the DOJ 3 days ago labeled all gang members as domestic terrorists, they put everyone that's online or on Instagram throwing up gang signs on a piece of paper. And when them folk go out there, when them Army soldiers go out there and they got that list of names, your name might be on that list, man. So all them folks out there that thought it was cool to be online throwing up gang signs, and you got Crip signs on your page, you got talking about you this and you that, you didn't do nothing but put a stamp on your name. And when them folks come out there, and I'm going to tell you this, I was doing a little research this morning because I was curious about how can the National Guard Army maneuver in different cities, and how can they get away with going on certain properties. So what I was able to figure out was that any property that is funded by the federal government or owned by the government, the National Guard can take seizure of that. So when I Googled and I looked up the housing project, HUD and all that, that is a federal funded situation. So them folk got the right to come in them projects and seize every person in there, man. A lot of people don't understand that when you live in a public housing, you don't have the same rights as every other citizen that walks around this earth. And if you didn't read the clause, you about to find out the hard way, man. And a lot of people don't understand is that them folks said they have the right to come and protect anything that is federal funded of government-owned buildings. And if you folks didn't know that public housing is government-owned buildings, then y'all finna find out the hard way. Y'all finna find out that them folks ain't gonna play no reindeer game with you young motherfuckers in them streets, and they ain't gonna play no games with you dumbass females that's gonna try to hide them silly motherfuckers in your house, man. Y'all folks gonna wake up in these 19 states and these cities with the National Guard Army parked in front of every housing projects in the United States. I told y'all folks months and months ago that them folks were gonna block y'all in, and they were gonna come in them projects like GTF, and they gonna see how many of you motherfuckers were really about that business, man. Now them folk about to make you young motherfuckers put up or shut up, and I know how all you motherfuckers gonna shut up and try to hide. Because there's one thing about that people don't understand. When you have the National Guard Army come in and take control of a city, these folks ain't just taking control of a city, they taking control of 19 states. 19 states. That means every city in that state is under control of the federal government, and every officer and police officer is gonna be listening to a general or a colonel. That means the person that's gonna be making the decision in that city is not gonna be the policeman. It's not gonna be the police officer. It's not. But y'all gotta realize that y'all asked for this. A lot of people don't understand that the people in the world have been begging and begging and begging. Because I tell you this, man, I've been on this earth 46 years, and I never ever thought that the world would come to the situation and the things that's going on in the world, man. You have so many individuals, grown and old, out here taking people's lives, man. You got people that don't believe this shit stinks because the consequences ain't even serious no more, man. The consequences of situation of taking someone's life is not even serious no more, to the point where these folks give a person a $200,000 bond for killing somebody and carjacking somebody, and they got things called bond reform that a person will fill out an application and they let that same person back out to do the same thing again. I can understand if an individual go to jail and that person is innocent of that crime. And then that's when you would say bond reform should come in effect and it would help other people. But I don't believe that bond reform was meant to go out there and start bonding out nothing ass people that's out there carjacking and robbing and killing folks. I don't believe that was the format of why they came up with this bill. But a lot of people don't understand this, and I'm going to tell you this. People want to focus on the narrative and say, well, they're only focused on black states or black cities. But if you don't watch the news, the world news, and read articles all day like I do, then you would know why they focus on these 19 different states, because these 19 different states, these folks is mass killing folks every day, all day, everything. And see, people don't want to realize this, but anything that is ran by all black folks, them folks don't give a fuck about us, man. If you see Memphis is an all black ran city, man. Yeah, Tennessee got a white governor, but Memphis is ran by black folks, man. Chicago ran by black folks. Houston ran by black folks and Hispanics. People don't realize that these politicians don't become politicians so they can help you. Them politicians go into office so they can steal money or build their bag up so they don't have to work no more in life one day, man. I hope to graduate to being like a governor or the president or something like that, but them folks is climbing the ladder on human beings' backs, and they always hide our statistics, man. You can't tell a family member that lost their child or lost their grandmama, was a victim of a crime, that statistics say that the crime rate is down. You can't tell folks that live in neighborhoods where people are shoot 'em up, bang, bang, 24/7, 7 days a week, and they watching more police in the streets than they see on TV. You can't tell them folks that the crime rate down, man. You can't tell them folks in Memphis and Frazier that the crime rate down when them folks on the news, are they on podcasts, are they out there telling the news people, man, that this is not what I signed up for, because these people worked their whole life of 30, 40 years to pay off a home in Frazier, and them folks said they scared to come out the house because the young people out there shooting them up, bang, bang. Them folks said that the police come scoop up the body and then they gone and come back when somebody else called 911 when somebody gets shot, man. That's insane, man. That lets you know that the police ain't got no control of the situation. Man, people don't understand that you can't just blame them because it ain't enough of them to fight against enough of them young motherfuckers, man. And then I was sitting there and I was watching something one day where this woman, 68 years old, living in Philadelphia. That woman said she been through so much crime in the 80s and the 90s, but it was never, ever this bad. She said she remember even when the gangsters and the thugs, before these gangs came around, she said even the drug dealers back in Philly, she said they used to make sure that them folks didn't come out there and do nothing to the older people. She said she remembered times that it was crime always, she said, but nowadays them young folks don't got no respect and ain't no OGs or no pillars of the community that can stop them folks, man. Because I sit back and I watch all these organizations that go out here and get this money for these people that say they're what they call them crime interventions when they ain't stopping no crime, man. You can't stop crime with conversation. You can't stop crime with conversation. You gotta go at crime with strong, hard force. You gotta treat the people that treat the other people the same way. That's why I tell people you gotta stay dangerous, man. Stay dangerous and then go up in court and tell them folks, y'all the ones that teach these folks that they need to not rob me, man. Because everybody in this world ain't no victim and ain't gonna be no victim. That's what people don't understand. Everybody, every time that you go out there in this world and you think you're going to carjack somebody might blow your head off when you stick your head up trying to talk about it's a robber. Everybody that gets up in the morning don't wake up and say, I'm going to go out there and take somebody's life. Some people just wake up and say, I want to go to work and live my life, man. Some people, they wake up in the morning, ain't doing nothing wrong with a smile on their face, take a cup of coffee, drink their coffee, go get in their car, on their way to work, stop at a gas station, and some motherfucker pop up out of nowhere and tell them get them everything in their pocket. The world done got so insane that, man, the thing that you used to see people do at nighttime, like try to rob people, these folks doing it in broad daylight in front of 40,000 people in downtowns, Nashville, and in downtown areas. You got so many women that out here that's doing so many degrading things, and men are falling for the oldest trick in the book when they let these women trick them in the hotel rooms and put their banana in the tailpipe and rob them, man. There's too many people out here that can look at individuals and say, I'm outnumbered in the situation that I'm talking about, man. I ain't gonna never cry or tell somebody that they ain't doing what's right. You know what I mean? Because these folks don't understand the violent crime system downgraded. Them folks have got people coming out saying that when them folks put up the stats of the crime, which I already knew, them folks are falsifying the crime data because they don't want people to know the real crime that's going on, man. They don't want people to know the truth. They don't want people to know that the politicians and everybody out here just getting their money and they don't care nothing about the crime and the people that's losing their life. Because I remember when you had an individual, when somebody lost their life, especially a child or something, you had mayors and governors go out there and be talking, telling people, this is not going to go in our community. Now these folks go on TV and they don't even speak about it. They just go in there and say, well, the crime is down. Statistics say that the crime is down, but statistic is done by somebody writing down numbers and saying this and saying that. But the thing them folks ain't doing is telling the truth. Them folks ain't telling the truth, because if they was telling the truth, I wouldn't be doing so many. I do 40 to 50 stories a day I post of all type of robberies and killings every day around the United States in every city. You know what I mean? And a lot of them be in Memphis and Chicago. You know, and I'm like Milwaukee, you got Detroit. Detroit, you know, I look at Detroit like I don't understand why they constantly want to dig themselves in the worst hole. Cause Detroit ain't better grow back from when Michigan ain't, you know, they ain't better since Ford left, GM left Michigan, and it left them folk down there in poverty. It left them folk down there buildings that falling apart and people living in houses that might well be shacks, but them folks still down there committing crimes. You know, people don't understand like it ain't even. It used to be when people said that the reason so many people be out here robbing and so many people be out here taking shit from people that they were saying that it was because they was poor and they didn't have no money or they didn't have no food. That ain't true, man. That ain't true. It never should get to a point where you feel like you got to go rob somebody or take something from somebody, man. It never, because when you go out there and try to take something from somebody, somebody gonna take your motherfucking life. I know I am. You know what I mean? Every dime that I got is accounted for. You know what I mean? So I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing extra to give nobody. You know, and a lot of people don't understand that sometimes you could do something to somebody and don't even know who you're fucking with. I'm talking about you can go out there and rob somebody's mama or grandmama, and a motherfucker end up robbing that person, and then come to find out that person's son is a hitter in the city. And now that person's son got your mama and your kids and your nephews and your nieces and everybody else tied up with the apple in their mouth, treating them like they're motherfucking, like they're a refugee. I keep telling people it's consequence to every situation, and when you think that you're gonna take something from somebody, somebody might take your life, man. You know, and that's like Donald Trump signed that order. Donald Trump signed an executive order where he is trying to eliminate cashless bonds. You know, and a lot of people, man, I tell you, these stupid ass people out here in the world, they don't pay attention to what's really going on. These folks out here got laws. Look at this shit. Look at this. Shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. Mass shooting, mass shooting, mass shooting. That's all you see. I'm going down my timeline. That's all you see. People coming out of bars getting shot. People in restaurants getting shot. Man in a gas station, two young people walk up behind him, rob him and beat him in the middle of the store. Come on now. But the crime is down in America. I don't know where these folks get their data from, man. I swear I don't. I don't know where they get their data because if they where they getting their data from, they need to tell the news people don't be talking about it no more. And then I tell you another thing that's real crazy that's going on around America. These young folks don't understand that they running in some of these stores and they doing what they call takeovers. Like they ran in they say a group like 30 people ran in a Nordstrom and stole 100,000 designer purses in Chicago and ran out. But I guess the crime rate down. That's what they said. The crime rate down.
It's just
Look
before
at them.
7. People are clearly on the sidewalk. Yet that didn't stop this crew.
It
Their
didn't
call
stop
was
these
nothing
folks.
severe.
These folks in broad daylight pull up in Chicago in downtown where Nordstrom's at, and they just run in the store and just start grabbing designer purses and throwing people out there filming them. People out, they don't care. They don't care. Look. Because the cars they driving stolen. You know they stolen. People getting bold out here, and people don't understand it's turning into the Wild Wild West, man. It's turning into the Wild Wild West in the United States. And and see people holler out, well, it ain't gonna do nothing but escalate more violence in the streets when they said the National Guard Army is gonna be in these streets because when the National Guard Army walking around, them young motherfuckers ain't gonna run up in no Nordstrom. Them folks with them National Guard Army with them tanks, they gonna push them, they gonna pull them cars up and see people talking about why would you give the National Guard Army weapons? Why wouldn't you arm a person against people that's armed? I don't understand. Why would you not arm yourself against armed people? Make it make sense, man. People talking about, well, they're gonna target the wrong individuals. You know what I mean? They're gonna target all the people of color. Shit. If you run out there with a motherfucking ski mask on your face, you deserve to be targeted, man. If you out there with your pants hanging off your ass, I don't give a fuck if you're 8 or 80 years old with a ski mask on, you asking for them folks to do something to you, man. You know, because people don't understand, man. When I was growing up, it was things that black folks' parents taught them. And the main thing was do not ever bring attention to yourself about the way you look, the way you dress, or the way you talk. But nowadays, these young dudes have tucked so far off that they wear ski masks around their face and they out with COVID over with. You know what I mean? Now it became a situation where a lot of states don't ban ski masks. They don't ban them. And these young folk don't understand. Yeah, they say the first fence is $100, but every time they see you with a ski mask, they can pull you over and search you. That's the difference. Well, they violate my constitutional right. You violate my constitutional right by trying to cover your motherfucking face. You know what I mean? You don't never make them folks look at you and think what they already trying to think, man. You don't never make them folks say, hey, that's one of them motherfuckers, man. You know what I mean? Because I be watching some of these young folk walking around with these hoodies and shit on. It's 100 degrees. I know they ass is stinking and sweating, man. You know what I mean? I get hot looking at them folks sometimes, man. You feel me? But it don't, you know, I ain't gonna be surprised of the blood that's gonna be shed in the streets when the National Guard armies go out there, man. Cause the first time one of them people, them young folks shoot at them, they gonna light their ass up, man. Oh, I knew they banned them in Georgia. They need to ban them masks everywhere because the thing about it is, I'm gonna tell you this, and it's just me, but if I see anybody that coming towards me with a backpack and a ski mask on, I'm gonna hit them with that Roman candle, man. I'm gonna hit them with that Roman candle, and I'm gonna wait for the police to get there, and I'm gonna tell them, man, that's what happened. Hold on. Oh, oh shit. Yes. Yeah, that's what I tell people, man. You can't look. I'm not gonna let no one get a chance to walk up on me and take my life, man. What the fuck? What the fuck? don't square his ass through that gate. She squared through that gate. Oh shit. Yeah, yeah, that kind of fucked me up there. But yeah. Oh. Now, but like I was saying, man, you can only do certain things in life and realize that you got to get to a point where you got to realize that you can only fight violence with violence. I'm on live right now, brother. Yeah, I already seen them. They came back. All right, think about it. But yeah, people in the world, you know, they want to scream that, you know, that everybody focus on the black community, the people of color. But then you got to look at the people of color. Only people that wore masks, and if you look at history, people that wore masks across their face was either robbers, drug cartel people over in different countries that didn't want their face to be exposed, man. If you wearing a ski mask around your face, you asking for problems, man. You asking for a situation that you say you don't want to do. And I know everybody think that they want to. We're not doing that, man. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Yeah, sometimes you gotta. But I'm sitting back here. I'm telling you, I want these people to show me. I want the governors and the senators of these cities to say ain't no crime to show me. Because anytime they say something, I can show them they telling a lie. Well, the shootings are down in Memphis. No, it's not. The robbers are down in Memphis. No, it's not. Only thing going down in Memphis is bodies. Only thing going down in Chicago is killings. That's all. And it don't even take no rocket science to figure that out. Shit, I do enough news stories. And believe me, if I had enough energy to do another 50, 60 more, it's 50, 60 more that can be said. I hope y'all enjoying y'all day out there, man, because you know, no, I ain't trying to do that. I'm trying to exit black guy. I don't believe in those scams. I think the worst thing in the world is a scammer. I don't believe in none of that, man. When I see a scammer pop up on my platform, I block them folks. I don't give a person to help victimize somebody else in the world. I appreciate that. That's why I say a lot of people sitting at work right now, getting their money, trying to take care of their family, but they know they gotta have that hammer on them at all times to make sure they make it home to their family, man. It don't get to the point in the United States that everyone that wants to live, you gotta stay dangerous, man. You gotta stay dangerous and prepared to take somebody's life before they take yours. You got to. It's crazy, but that's the way life goes. You know, I see so many people in the world when I do these stories and they be victims because they say they looked in somebody's eyes and they could tell that they was a child and they didn't want to hurt that child. But I say if you could look in that child's eyes or look in that child and that child got a hammer pointed at you, then that child ain't no child no more to me, man. That child ain't no child to me no more, man. You point a weapon at me or come at me in a threatening manner, I don't care if you in a pamper. I'm gonna blow your ass away like the big bad wolf, man. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make sure that you don't do that to nobody else no more. You know, because I don't believe, I've been through so many things in life where, some of the things I probably deserve because I was selling drugs in the streets and things like that. But I ain't never been no robber, no thief. I ain't never thought about going to take nothing from nobody. I don't think I ever thought about going to take something from somebody with their life because they try to do something to me. But beyond that, man, when you start realizing that it ain't like it used to be when you was a child, man. It ain't safe for your child to be in environments that they in. A lot of people don't understand that you supposed to be as a parent, you supposed to do everything in your power to make sure your child don't have to worry about being in gangs, have to worry about being in an environment that they don't deserve to be in. Because one day children grow up and children tell their parents one day all about the mistakes that they made that fucked their life up, man. Because people don't never ever sit back and realize that a lot of things that they do affect their children more than they do, and then they highlight that their child is more stronger than they think. I remember being 15 years old and I thought I was the strongest person on this earth, but I had an ulcer erupt and I bled almost to death at 15. And I remember doctors was like, they couldn't even believe that a child at 15 years old had so much stress because they said the only time that people have an ulcer erupt is when they drink a lot, they misuse drugs a lot. I was 15 years old, man. Only thing I was doing was stressing. I was stressing about life. I was stressing about, where I was gonna sleep at as a child. I was stressed about what I was gonna eat. And I tell people all the time, man, you never ever expect to be put in situations in life where you feel like the wind's been knocked out of you. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes, and people always say that you just got to look at God and hope that God can open up doors and gates and help you through the situations. But sometimes you also got to realize that God woke you up, so you need to go do your part. You need to go do your part. And if that means getting up and trying to figure out a better way of coming up with a plan to make your life better, then you need to do it. Eliminating people out of the equation so they would know that they ain't even got a chance to be in the world with you anymore. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of people be holding people back. And I learned a lot in life, man. I learned that you can never ever put your faith in another human being to expect them to be loyal as you are to them, man. I also have realized that if you're in a relationship with a person, you need to go 50-50 with the bills so you can save your money and they can save their money, so if they want to act funny one day, you won't be left holding a situation where you can't control, man. You won't. Because a lot of people put people in situations that they don't deserve when they good people, man. And some people will give everybody their last, but some people won't even give another person their conversation. That's insane. But I look back and I think about all the situations that people say, well, karma is a bitch. You know what I mean? Karma is a bitch. You know what I mean? Because I never in my life, I don't done a lot of crazy things. I don't done some situations that I felt like that was, wrong. But I ain't never ever in my life ever put no one in no situation where they couldn't do better, man. They couldn't do better, live better, because I came to the conclusion that I need to be, free myself. You know what I mean? I just free myself. Because people always, like most of these women in the world, they all out, I need a man to take care of me. If a man can't take care of me, then I don't need him. No, You need an individual that's either gonna motivate you to be better, and you need to be motivating them to do better. And if y'all both work into a situation where it's a 50-50 situation, you can't lose. You know what I mean? You can't lose. Because people don't understand that people would tell you they love you and loyal to you, but be out there cheating on you and fucking off on you, man. People would take your money and give to other people and then act like ain't nothing wrong with that, man. You feel me? I've seen it all. You know what I mean? And I actually, when you go through situations that you don't deserve, it's one thing you realize, man. You would never go for that same thing twice. You'll never go for it twice. You know what I mean? Because it's a horrible feeling when somebody knocked the wind out of you and you don't even know. Knock the wind out of you, man. You know, I never in my life, I tell you this, I never expect a woman to take care of me, but I never take care of another woman on this earth. I never do that. I never say I won't buy a woman flowers and stuff like that because some women deserve flowers. But as far as me walking into a house and giving a woman $500, $600, or $1,000 and this and that, I'd never do that again. Because I was with a motherfucker that was so disrespectful that she didn't save a dime of none of that money that I gave her. And when I was in my time of need, she felt like it was time for her to go. You know what I mean? So you got to look at it like, you know, it is what it is. You can't be mad at a situation when you get tricked by somebody. You can't be mad. You know what I mean? You grow from that, man. You grow from that situation and move on. Oh, yeah. That's why I say I never let one person turn me against other people in the world. You know what I mean? I never say that I never fall in love again, or I never be in a relationship again, but I never be married. Or I never will take care of another human being. I would never ever give a person more than they give me. You know what I mean? Because you can see a lot of people in the world that scream out they unhappy in situations, and you be sitting there wondering why. And then you have women out here that say, well, if my man took care of me more, then I would be able to do it and I would feel better. But then you got the men that take care of the women, holla, you think money is everything. I need to go on dates and I need this. I'm like, so you got some women that be satisfied with being comfortable and living in a nice home and being happy. And then you got some women that want nothing but money and they cool with that. So, you know, I fell in the category of where I'm like, shit, I ain't going for none of that, man. You know, I'd rather just do what I do and not be put in them situations, man. Because when somebody do you wrong and you know they done you wrong, but you be having some ill thoughts and anger and hate, but then you get over there and say, you know, life too short to keep bad energy in your heart, man. Life too short. That's the way you're supposed to. You know what I mean? Because I got to the point in my relationship where I was bringing so much money into the home that a person had to do nothing. And they was mad because they might go buy me a $300-400 watch and then I get them a $300-400 back because I didn't want them to be broke. But they said I was taking their independence. I grew up being poor and watching people struggle. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, of course. See, that's one thing, and man, that's one thing that I will never do. I would never backtrack because man, people in the world is so sick out here that people out here having unprotected sex and kissing and sucking on folks that they don't even know, and they meeting them online, man. There's too many diseases out here, man. I'm telling you this. You would think that since I've been so-called single for like the last 3 months, I be turning up, knocking these hoes down, but I ain't been doing none of that. Because I got more intention of living longer, so I ain't gonna let no anybody get into my situation where I get a disease or something from somebody, man. You know what I mean? I have people tell me all the time, they say, you ever feel like that you would go back with your ex-wife? I said, no, for a lot of different reasons. You know what I mean? And, one of them was the way that it ended in a crazy situation that another day to have a conversation about. But when you got somebody that ain't loyal to you and they show you this loyalty and you don't show them nothing but loyalty, oh, that's a whole nother situation. That's a whole nother situation now. And you got to think to yourself, man, if a person that say they love you would do the thing that people say they do to people that they love, you don't need no enemies, man. You don't need no enemies. But you also don't need to have no hate in your heart for nobody. I don't got no hate. I don't got no anger no more. I had anger at first. But I don't got no hate or no anger in my heart for now individual because it take up too much space in my day for me to be thinking about anything but what I got going on in my life. You know what I mean? But I tell you, there's a lot of people ruin other people for other good people they might meet in their life. People make people put up safeguards against good people in life and they might miss out on opportunity in life because of the foolishness and things they done to them people, man. You know, they are. You know, you got to realize people that sit back and laugh and giggle and feel like that they don't destroy someone's life and their life is going good, eventually something terrible gonna happen, man. You don't gotta wish bad on people that do bad. You don't. You know what I mean? There's certain things in life that you do not do. There's certain things in life that you do not do to people that you say you love. You don't do that, man. You know what I mean? I've been betrayed in so many ways in my life. I had a motherfucker testify against me, my auntie, which was my mama's sister, and my cousin, the motherfucker I took care of. You know what I mean? I grew up in a family where everybody in that family was dishonest and disloyal to each other and did more motherfucking things to each other than they did to people in the streets. So when I tell people that I know about betrayal, I know the first hand of betrayal in every situation that can be handled. I ain't never betrayed a damn motherfucker on this earth, but I don't been betrayed a billion times by people that say they love me, man. That's why I don't do that I love you shit no more. I don't do that I love you. I don't even do that I care. You know what I mean? Because people make people so angry are so hateful towards situations in life that them people be like, I'm not gonna go for that twice. You know what I mean? I got family members that still deal with the same family members that testified against me, but we call ourselves a hood family. A hood family with plenty of rats and plenty of cowards ain't no hood family, man. You know what I mean? And I'm like this, man. If even if my cousin testify against my other cousin, I'm not gonna fuck with that motherfucker. I'm not gonna be dealing with that person. But these folks will come out and say, "Oh, well, they didn't do it to me." What make you think that you so special that another person won't do something evil to you that they done to somebody else? What makes you so special to think that a motherfucker that'll go cheat on their wife or go cheat on their husband ain't gonna do it to you? What make you think that ain't gonna happen, man? What make you think that a motherfucker that told on Timmy won't tell on you? Ain't no exception to that, man. You know what I mean? But then you go back to what my grandmama say. Some people don't believe shit stink, man. Some people don't believe shit stink until them folks knocking on their door and telling them that the motherfucker they been talking about that they family is the one that put the police on the folks, man. I sit back and I look at life in a different situation now where I don't want to take no chances on losing my freedom or losing my life to damn foolish situation. You know what I mean? I don't work so hard to get the things that I got right now, and I'm fighting so hard to keep it because of people that done shit to me, man. I'm fighting hard. I've been fighting so hard for the last 15, 20 years to make sure that people that I love, kids and family members, life wasn't bad and struggling, and them folk goddamn it did the unthinkable to me, man. But I'm the bad guy. Some of these folks don't even realize that if I wouldn't have changed the way if I wasn't thinking the way I'm thinking now, I changed the way I feel in life, then a lot of them folk be in the ground right now, man. A lot of them folk be in the ground. But I realized a long time ago, man, that some folks just go, because I walk around and I see people that was up 30, 40 years ago doing good in life, but they were treating people like shit. Now them folks running around out here can't even spell their name, are living on the streets, around here on drugs and things like that because God punished them folks, man. I laying up in the hospital bed with a disease that they can't cope with, and ain't nobody there to hold their hand or make sure they all right. That's because they made the wrong decisions. You know what I mean? That's because they made the wrong decisions, man. I'm talking about, man. I see a lot of people that be older couples. They be 60, 70 years old and they be holding each other hand or going to restaurants and I be looking at them. They be all colors, black, white, Chinese, Asian. And you look at them folks and you know they went through struggles. You know they went through pains. You know they might have went through a couple of cheats and that and this and that. But you also got to know that them folk realize that when at the end of time, when you might need somebody to wipe your ass or give you your meds, you need somebody that you can trust, man. These folks in the world nowadays are so caught up with so-called living their life and all that. They ain't realizing that time is ticking down, man. Time is ticking down and you ain't gonna be able to work every day for the rest of your life and pay no bills. Time is ticking down to the point where you gotta figure out where you can get that bag and build that bag so you don't have to be in no motherfucking government assistant nursing home when you get old. You be out here living in a project and be one of the people that should have been something greater in life. That's what people don't understand. People living by the day and not living by the facts, man. They not living by the facts. You know what I mean? I tell you this, I talked to my mom and daddy, and my mom and daddy will tell you this, man. They ain't had the perfect motherfucking relationship. They ain't had the perfect motherfucking marriage. But it's one thing they know. When they came back together, they knew they wasn't going nowhere no more, man. You know what I mean? They knew they was not going nowhere because they knew that, man, look, how many people you think you can, people sit here and think that friendship is something when they find out that shit ain't nothing, man. They find out that shit ain't nothing. You know what I mean? Because people out here, man, family and friends is the worst thing that can hurt you in this world, man. The worst thing that can hurt you. They're the only thing that can get close enough to you to actually do something to So people don't understand that you got to keep your guard up, man. I thought that I could build myself a bubble of a wife, children, nice home, nice cars, and everything be good. But you can't never expect when somebody does things that's unexplainable, things that's questionable. And then a lot of people don't understand that if you don't ask questions to situations, then you won't find out the truth about things that's going on, man. That just is what it is, man. You know what I mean? I never ever put that type of stress on me ever again in life, man. Because I've been through that in life twice and didn't even realize that I was mimicking myself the second time. Because when I was a child, I had to take care of myself and I was taking care of other individuals when I was selling dope. You know, same uncles and aunties that was calling the motherfucker talking about they needed help on their light bill with the same one that was talking about that nothing ass motherfucker out there selling dope, that child he out there. They was talking bad about me, but they asked me for money. But when I went to prison, and this is one thing that I should have realized, you always take science, man. If a motherfucker run off on you in jail, then you can expect that folk to run off on you on the street, man. I tell people, don't backtrack, man. Don't never backtrack, man. Don't never ever backtrack with their individual in life. You know what I mean? I never get a person a chance to do me wrong twice. You know what I mean? And I ain't the type of person that'll bait another person in so I can do them wrong. I'm not gonna do that because I ain't got time for that. You just grow in life and let other people know that, I've grown, man. I've grown. But also I'm a human being to the point where I might snap, crackle, and pop every once in a while. I might snap, crackle. I'm human. But when it comes to violence towards someone, I'm not gonna do that unless you try to do some violence towards me. I'm not doing that. And I tell people all the time, man, people will watch you go through struggles and try to coerce you to go out here and do stuff that what you would call crash out. I'm not crashed out, man. I'm not I'm not at the situation in life where anything that I want to crash, not even a cop. I don't want none of them problems. You feel me? You know what I mean? I just wake up and, keep it pushing and do what I got to do in life to make sure that my message gets out to the right people. Because, you know what I mean? People always, when I see people in public and they acknowledge who I am and they tell me to keep pushing and they love my platform, they love my conversation, keep it going, and, I'm different, I'm unique, I know these things. You know what I mean? I know that I ain't the average person, especially a black man that these folks used to seeing on the internet. They used to seeing them crackheads and cluckers that get out here and put on a show and scream out about other people that draw in attention to a situation that don't even make any sense. When there's too many real situations going on in this world that people need to pay attention to. Real situations. You know what I mean? That's what I understand, man. I don't get caught up in all that old, you know what I mean? I don't get caught up in the social media part of what rich people have done to, you know what I mean, to fuck their life out, because that's their problem. Them rich folk problem. Them ain't poor folk problem. Them ain't middle class problems. Them is them type of people problem. You know what I mean? So why should I have to talk about their business? You know what I mean? And I look at it like I'm gonna grow the way I'm supposed to grow when I grow. I just can't tarnish my brand. I take no chances and mess up my situation that I got going on because I know it, man. You know what I mean? Look, I'll tell you this, man. I had to take a mental laxative and detox out all the poison, anger, and hate out of my heart, man. I tell people all the time, man, sometimes you need to take a mental detox. You need to take a mental detox. You know, you got to take a mental detox and push out all the toxins, man. You feel so much better, man. You don't understand that when you can sit down and close your eyes and you ain't thinking about that person or the hate you got for individuals or you ain't thinking about the stress that you got for life, man, you feel good. You feel good. You feel better, man. I'm talking about you feel so much better when you ain't gotta think about why you so mad, why you so angry, why you ain't doing this. Only reason that you ain't getting what you want out of life if you just sitting around, laying around, ain't doing what you should be doing to get no bag, man. Man, go pick your grandma up, enjoy your day. You know, you gotta understand that, man. A lot of people don't understand that real life is real life. Ain't none of this shit scripted. You know, I ain't over here reading out of a page telling motherfuckers what you got. I do the same as you think you be, goddess. You know, that's what people don't understand, man. People actually want to hear people talk about actual life events and problems. People want to know that people out here going through the same thing that they going through in life and know that somebody out there saying, man, you got that, man. Because a lot of people look at their family and look to their family for guidance. I look for the people that say they love for guidance, and they don't realize them people are the anchor that's holding them down. They don't realize that them are the anchors that's holding them down. Sometimes if you want to sail off into a greater rise, and you got to pull that anchor up and let them folk go, man. You got to let them folk go. I just never want to put myself, I tell you this, man, I never want to put another person in a situation where they can't be great. You know, I never ever want to stop or hinder a person from being better than what they is, man. You know, that's what you got to know. You gotta understand one thing, man. You gotta understand it. You gotta live your life for you and let other people live their life for them. You gotta eliminate all the negative things, and sometimes you think the positive things around you really are the negative things. And it's individuals and people, man. It's crazy when you get to a situation where you gotta question the person that you land in the bed with, what their motives are the person that you go around and you say you love, what their motives are. You got to, man. It's crazy because it's certain things in the world, and I know people look at different situations, and everybody got their own opinion about every situation. But I'm never gonna tell somebody I love them, and I watch them folks struggle, man. I'm not gonna watch somebody tell me that they changing their life and actually see them change their life, and I don't stick out an olive branch and say, "Hey, man, I got you, man. I got you." But that's the difference between me and them. That's the difference between me and them. Because everyone that know me, I'm saying people that know me actually know that I always been a good dude. Man, sometimes people say I was a bad dude because I give a motherfucker a pack. You know what I mean? I was always one of them people that when I was in the streets, I try to give you what you need to get you some money. And then sometimes I gave people money. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that they shouldn't be in the streets. You know what I mean? But it's crazy when you turn your back on the streets and start trying to do what's right. It's harder, man. It's hard. And when you turn your backs on the streets and then other people start turning their backs on you, that you've been helping for 10, 15 years, that's even harder. That's even harder, man. But I think the most horrible thing is when people don't acknowledge the things that people done for them, but they try to tell other people things that they didn't do for them. I think that's the most horrible thing in the world. I pride myself on being a good father, a good husband, a good provider. But at the end of the day, don't none of that shit matter, man. Don't none of that shit matter. The people would leave you out there in the streets and hope you die. Friends and family, man. Friends and family. But I say build your bag and then you don't have to worry about that no more. Take a deep breath, exhale, and put your mind together and get you a plan to get that bag, man. That should always be the motivation of every day. Stop putting your focus into human beings and put your focus into yourself. Build your wealth before you try to build a relationship. Build your own wealth before you build a relationship. And don't never, ever depend on somebody else, man. I'm going to tell you that, man. Because I'm going to tell you this, man, and I never, ever be disrespectful, but I tell you this. I was banking on my wife elevating her career to the point where, shit, I let her go to college again at 30-something years old to get a better degree because she said that better degree would help us start our own business. When I should have been trying to start my own business. Because you can pay for everything to help somebody else build their career, and them folks strike out. Oh, shucks. That's life, though, y'all. It's life. It's life. It's life. You can't be mad at it. You can't be mad. You gotta grow. You gotta grow through things in life, man. You got to. You gotta grow. You gotta grow. Enjoy and grow. That's what the name of the situation is. Enjoy and grow. Hey, it's beautiful outside, man. I love the fall. The fall is when the leaves start falling and the weather start being cool. I love it because it's gonna kill all the bugs out there. I love my peace, man. That's all I want is just peace and happiness, man. I don't care about no fancy cars and no whole bunch of money. I just want to buy me some land and live comfortable, man. I had a plan to build a family compound, and I'm still gonna build it, but I'm building it for me and my children. Man, I think about the time that I tell you, I sit back and I just think about the situations in life, and you wish you could just go back and pick each situation to be different. You know what I mean? And all mine is money wise. You know what I mean? Don't give this person that because that person wasn't shit. Don't do that because that person wasn't shit. Hold that back because that person ain't shit. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's reality. It's reality. And you can't change it. Even if you had a time machine, I wouldn't even want to change. Because when you do things for people in life, you do it out of the kindness of your heart. That's the reason you do it. You don't do it for no other reasons. You don't do it for no other reasons. Oh shit. Brandon. Brandon. Uh, what you do? Go back to sleep? It's grandmama day today. I'm finna clean this whole house up. Put Penny back in. When did Penny go outside? Penny go outside? Penny. Yeah, put her back in the cage, let the air mattress down. We finna get that. I said, I'm finna clean up, then we move around a little bit. Penny needs to get her ass up. Penny was out there running around like she was in a club all night, pissing everywhere and shit. Oh Lord. Excuse me. Oh, I'm from Nashville. Nashville. Where you from? Oh. Hey, a lot of people look, I'll tell you this. I should have knew it. New Orleans. New Orleans. I was down in Shreveport, Louisiana, not too long ago, and I've been down in New Orleans a couple of times. I like it down there. The only thing I don't like about New Orleans is the motherfucking mosquitoes the size of alligators. South Carolina. Boy, I love my black cities. I love my black states, boy. I love my black states. Man, DM me shit, I come. Shit, I move around. DM me and I sure pop up. I love coming out in the world showing love, man. I do, trust me. If you watch my page, man, I move around a lot. You know what I mean? I tell you what, boy, South Carolina, New Orleans, man, I love them. I love that. I love them southern, that southern, cause them black women right there know how to cook, man. Thank you. But I ain't had a home cooked meal in so long, it don't make no sense. Shit, my ex-wife, only thing she cooked was every once in a while. It might have been Thanksgiving dinner. Oh, I ain't your grandma. Shit, DM me, I'll pull up to you. 50 pebbles. I'm telling you, I'll pull up. Y'all better not be inviting me to y'all areas. I'll be coming down there. I'll be knocking on doors talking about I need a plate. Let's eat. Shit, DM me. I'll be there. I love that shit, man. That's one thing I love about women, man. Women that cook, man. I love that shit, man. I ain't saying you gotta cook clean and all that shit every day, but you can tell a lot about a person if they, the way they are, man. You know what I mean? Like my grandma used to cook every day. I'm talking about every day, every night. We had either fried pork chops or something. Oh no, she didn't. Man, the most thing she cooked was some tacos or some shit like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't never a whole bunch of some chicken Alfredo or something like that. You know, man, it was hard for me to get a meal or some. If I had some fried pork chops, I fried them. You know what I mean? I might get a meatloaf or something on my birthday or some shit like that. Shit, for real, man. I tell you this. I love like me myself. I clean like a motherfucker, man. I hate being nasty. I hate filth. I hate all that shit. My ex-wife, she'll tell you, she say, man, dude love cleaning up. I'm one of them motherfuckers that love the smell of bleaching pine salt. I love that shit, man. I love the smell of bleaching pine salt. I love cleaning. I love cooking. My grandmama taught me that when people walk in your house, the first smell they should smell is cleanness, man. Yeah. You never walk out your house if your house ain't clean, man. You don't do that. You don't do that. My grandmama taught me that shit, man. My grandmama one of the people like we cleaned every day. You had to clean the bathrooms. Everybody had their assignments. But on Saturday morning, everybody got up and hit that pants on that bleach. I'm talking about bathrooms, toilets. Somebody got to wash the dishes. It was the easy part washing the dishes, but boy, she used to make all the boys go in there and clean the bathrooms, man. We get that motherfucker and come up out of there with bleach like your whole eyes all cocked open from bleach. You feel me? You know what I mean? It's been some time, man. I'll wash walls, wash floors. Man, I don't even look. I tell you what's so crazy. I don't even use mops. When I clean my floors, I use tiles. I sweep the floors and then I take towels and I put the pants on, bleach in them, and I bleach the floors so I can make sure I get all the dust and around the corners one by one by one by one by one. For real. Shit. Man. Cleanup day has always been sad with the blues music playing or the old school music playing. You know, that's how it was, you know it. That's how that went. That's how you know if you grew up in a family and they tell you about your family, man. They do. They tell you a lot. If you go to a female house and her house nasty, her ass nasty. Ain't no motherfucker. I don't know, man. Ain't no way. That's the most. I think that's the most nasty thing. And people will invite people to their house knowing their house nasty. How you gonna invite a motherfucker over to your house? You know your house nasty. You should be trying to stay away from it. Cause I don't been on some people's house, and I was actually trying to start cleaning that motherfucker up, cause I didn't feel right. I lived next door to a motherfucker at one point in time. They were so nasty in their house next door that I went over there one day and paid about 3 cluckers to go over there and clean out all their trash. Swear to God. Clean out all their dishes that was in the sink, throw all that shit away. You know what I mean? And the dude that lived there, he was happy. But his girlfriend come home talking about, you threw my mama dishes away. Your mama dishes been sitting in that sink for 2 months with mold on them. You know what I mean? You got dog shit all through your house. Like, why would you even go get an animal if you already nasty? Why would you go get an animal if you already nasty? Like, what the fuck wrong with y'all? Like, what the fuck is the problem? You feel me? Some motherfucker need to point out when a motherfucker nasty, you need to tell him you nasty, man. I ain't with that shit. That's why if I deal with a female, I gotta see her house before I even pull her panties down. You tell a lot about a person by the way they live, man. By the way they live, they cleaning habits, all that. You can tell. Dang, man. Ugh. I hate that shit, man. I can't even lay in my bed at nighttime unless I take a shower. And I could been walking around in my house all day and ain't even been nowhere. But I gotta take a shower. Oh, oh. Oh yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? I tell you this, I don't understand how you got people that don't understand that you don't come, like people be getting upset when you tell them, man, don't sit on my furniture. I see why people back in the days used to have plastic on their furniture because you never know where people been sitting at, man. People go out there and sit on cars, sit on concrete, sit in grass, and then want to come sit their ass on your couch. That don't make no sense. People go out here and sweat and walk around and then they want to come sit in your house and sit on your furniture. They don't understand that funks, sweats, sink in people's shit, man. Come on now. There's certain things that people, mamas and daddies didn't teach them. They didn't teach them. number one thing, to respect other people's stuff. You feel me? You don't do that type of shit, man. You just don't do that at all. You don't do that. But people don't understand, man. It's like, I tell you this, I remember when, if someone was actually having a date or something, and they felt like that the date might end up in sex, them folk got together and took a shower either one by one or together. Because you want that person to know that you was clean, man. Nowadays, you got these motherfuckers pull up and cock their legs up and like, let's get it. No, I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that hot cat on the road. You know what I mean? People be tripping on me. They like, yeah, you crazy. But I'm just being truthful, man. I tell a person every time, man. I had a female tell me one day, she said, man, I taste so good that you go crazy. I said, well, stick your finger between your legs and tell me what it tastes like then. Man, she stuck her finger, rubbed it between her legs, stuck her finger in her mouth, and she like, I said, now why would you? She said, oh, it wasn't the reason I did that. You tasted something that you didn't want to taste. You did. You tasted something you didn't want to taste. And I'm blind. I take my glasses off, I can see, but I can't see. That's crazy. I see you, you see me. I see you better now. Oh, don't go nowhere, y'all. I just gotta put the little thing up real quick. I'm still here. Oh, yeah, shit, hell yeah, you better be the same way. You know what I mean? What type of person you gonna let come in there and put their sweaty ass, they sweaty, nasty ass on you, man? And people don't know what other people been doing before that, man. That's the crazy part. You don't know what, before that person got to your house or got to your location, what was they doing before that? What were they doing before that? You feel what I'm saying? You don't know if a person just got through taking a shit and didn't wipe their ass correctly. You don't know what it is. Oh, no, you don't sit on nobody's bed. Man, you got some people that come in a person's house and they not doing mine, but I don't see some people be at somebody's house and they kick their feet up on their couch with their shoes on. Like, what the fuck wrong with you? You just can't, and then you got motherfuckers out here walking barefooted and then come in your house and want to put and jump on your bed. Man, what the fuck wrong with you? We're not doing that. We're not doing that. That's why I say some people, mama and daddy didn't raise them right, man. But then if you go look at their house nasty the same way they are. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers used to teach their children don't go outside looking all tacky and shit. But nowadays, you go in the store, you see nothing but motherfuckers running around looking nasty, dude's hair not combed, look like he got slob hanging off the side of his mouth where he ain't brushed his teeth in about 10 days. That shit crazy. That's crazy. But that's the type of shit that go on, man. That's the type of bullshit that we living with nowadays, that people don't know how to be clean. You know what I mean? It's some motherfucking houses that somebody need to go over and just put them motherfuckers, you know when they move out, they gonna have to gut that motherfucker. Yeah, I'm back. Y'all know what I had to do. Them folks on this app right here, they won't let you do it. They want to come with that bullshit. I'm grown.
I'm getting tired now.
Ugh. Shit now. I almost knocked all this shit down. Woo! I almost knocked it all down. Oh! I'll be on my YouTube like a. Yeah, I've been there. Tell you what, man, sitting in these chairs, I've been on live for an hour and a half.